of Freilich and Chanukah. This is Dirshu Mishnah Berurah as we conclude Siman Ayin Tes. We're up to Siman Ayin Tes. If hey, Baruch Hashem, we're going to be concluding this Sif. And within today, Mirza Hashem, we'll be closing the gap and back up to date with the wonderful Dirshu cycle. I thank everyone for the constant courage and chizik to get up to date. And b'siyata d'shmaya, we will stay up to date and be able to learn halacha together day after day. So where are we holding? We're holding in Siman Ayin Tes Sif Hey, and we're discussing the halachas of tzaya as they relate to Kriya Shema. So says the Mechaber in Sif Hey, tzayas chamor, the tzaya, the excrement of a donkey, haraka that is sof lachash abami aderech. V'tzayas chatol, and a cat, and iman, and ant, and nevila, misrachas, din, and kitzayas adam, they have a din of a tzayas adam. V'ahoyvech baderech, so it's going on the road. Avvi sharaya tzayas be'ema connected, you see the tzaya, im ein hareach, if you don't smell it, you don't have to worry and say, oh wait, maybe it came from a chamar. Near the city you have to be chayshish because of course chamayrim, donkeys were donkeys were the classical mode of transport. As Mechaber explains, because the majority of the animals were chamayrim. Of course, it's in a place. No one should say, oh, nowadays you get close to the city, people don't use chamayrim for transport, then it is not a problem. Says the Mishnah Berurah over here, Sivkat Chavei, explaining Siv Chavei, Tzayis Chamar, these mistam have a bad smell. Even if one time they don't smell, then it's still a problem. Like say Saddam can cause getting from ayin beer halacha. We continue with Sivav, says the Mechaber. Biyushalmi oiser likrais kinegin miraglayim chamor abamin aderech kinegin says tagolim aduma. Yushalmi says you can't read Shema next to the miraglayim of a chamor that came from the road, and opposite a tarnigol aduma, a red tarnigol. Explains the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Chavav aduma milashoinai mashma. Says the Mishnah Berurah from the lashon of the Mechaber, it appears of the Yerushalmi Shorat Saleimer that it means to say shalafi shehi aduma hi misrachas mo'oid. It's very smelly. English hen, the English hens, the index, they're very stinky. Says the Mishnah Berurah, you shouldn't even have them in your house because you're davening, you're learning, and the chickens stink. But probably based on Chacham, it's for sure in the Talmud Chacham's house where he's always learning. Because you cannot even be mahir, you can't even think in Torah in such a setting. We continue with Sif Zayin, says the Mechaber, if you have a regular chicken rooster in your house and there's saya, then it has the same din as the saya of a behema chayiv ha'oif. Aval halol shalem, their chicken coop, yesh ba'yisirchan, it's stinky, v'dina k'moitzayis adam. So even though the tzaya itself we could be makel on, but says the Mishnah Berurah, says the Mechaber, the lol, the coop, we have to be more machmir. And let's see the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Chav Zayin. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Chav Zayin. Aholchem b'bayis. Even if their main feed is from the 5 grains, Gam can still be makel. Apparently, if that's you feed them the grains, it gets a little smellier. Still says Mishmur, you can be makel. Calls man as long as you don't know that the saya smells. The chicken that's sitting on their eggs, Yedua, of course, the world of farmers, this is probably obvious. Then the tzaya smells bad. Al kain pashat the din k'moisayis adam. Halol shalahem, but we said that the lol, the chicken coops, if katan chavches, says the Mishnah Berurah, who binyan katan asul aviran tarnegolam, lavazin tarnegolam. This is a small house made for the geese and for the chickens. Ubimneisha rabba boy tzaya. There's a lot of tzaya inside. Ish meisirchan vu maos. It's disgusting. Al kain din k'moisayis adam. Kaz chay adam who adin deer. Din shall deer shall behema corral gam kin also mitam zayin ber alacha mashak zamnu bazeh. And probably, I don't know, I just want to suggest We didn't see anyone that says this, but maybe in a world like ours that we're not so accustomed to these things. I don't know if someone has a rooster in their house and no big deal, there's droppings all over. I don't know if someone would have that opinion, and even the slight smell might bother someone. So perhaps, just like the low, the reason the chicken coop is more machmer because it's disgusting even for those that have them. Maybe the whole world has to drop down a level, but let's leave that and let's move on to Siv Ches. Says the Machaber, also likros keneged ashma shareichoi ra. You're not allowed to say shema opposite of garbage that smells bad. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, shareichoi ra siv kadul chavtes v'dina, and it's din l'chol davar, for everything is kitzoyas adam. The garbage has the din of a tzoyas adam. Alkein, therefore tzarich laharchik milfanav kamali enough. You have to distance yourself from the garbage as far as the eye can see. Va'afilu, and even if in Yodua lo she'in by tzayas meir glayim, which maybe one can say nowadays, we know there's no tzayah, we know there's no meir glayim in the garbage. V'umin ha'tayra zaklau kol reach ra haba midavar hamasriach. An important rule to end off this siman: a bad smell that comes from something stinky. Has the same din as a tzayis adam. So now we're learning an ashba, a garbage heap, even if there is no tzaya and meiraglayim in it, because of its inherent stench that gives it the din of the tzayis adam, and you have to distance from it. As one could anticipate, because there's the din of kadosh, kedusha, it has to be clean. That if the smell gets to you, and you cannot read. And perhaps this one sif we should chazer, we should zero in on, because this is what's going to be very relevant. Someone is outside and there's a garbage can that's smelly or whatnot, then you cannot say krish other dvarim shebekdusha in such an area. We conclude today's shir with sif tes. Says the Mechaber, yotzim imenu reach milamat. If someone lets out some gas, aser b'divrei Torah. What is the halacha? It is forbidden to learn until when? Sheyechla reach, till the smell passes by. One knows he himself didn't pass any gas, but his friend did. What else are you going to do? Says the Mechaber, some are learning and some are sleeping, and while they're sleeping, they let out some glass while they sleep, and it gets a little bit smelly. So there's nothing else to do. So as long as it's not your own, you're allowed to learn. So if it's the middle of davening and one smells something, even if it's not from his own, he's not going to say kriyishma until the smell stops. Says the Mishnah Berurah Katan Lamin Motor B'divrei Torah Mishom Dereach Rash Ein Lo Ikar. This is the halacha that we pointed out the other day, that a reach ra that does not have any substance, meaning there's not actual tzayah there, it's just the smell. Who also rak midrabanan lakach. Like Gazur Bazem, they bittel Torah Ayin Magen Avram. So with regard to Kriyish Ma'alavar Shem Bracha Aser Ad, you're not allowed to make the bracha. Why? You could just move away. Cause Vel Yerabah Dimuraitza Yachal Archik Lamakim Shlo Nishma Shamareach Vidai Ein Sarech Dalet Amos. As long as you're not within the place that you smell the smell, that is enough. You don't need Dalet Amos. So very important halacha to close out the siman over here, that when it comes to number one, garbages, we have to be careful of the bad smell. And number two, if one himself lets out gas, he can't learn, he can't say Shema. And even if it comes from someone else, he can't say Shema until the smell dissipates. And as a din of a reach she'ein lo ikar, which the halacha is for midrabanan, we're machmir for divrei kedusha, for kriyishma, and for brachos. But for Torah, we're going to be mekel because it's the Efsha. What else is one going to do? I will pick it up from Siman Pei in the next shir, B'siyata Dishmaya.